You don't just hate seeing people do better than you. Part of you enjoys it, not their success, but the way it makes you feel about yourself. Because envy doesn't just hurt, it quietly feeds something inside you. And once you see what that is, you will understand why it's so hard to let go of it. You are scrolling, you see someone your age winning, better lifestyle, more money, more recognition, and instantly something shifts, a tight feeling, a quiet irritation. You don't say anything, but internally you start reacting. They got lucky, it's not even that impressive. They probably had advantages I don't. You move on, but the feeling stays, and you tell yourself it's just frustration, just motivation, just a normal reaction. But it's not that simple. Most people think envy is purely negative, a toxic emotion, something to suppress or avoid, so they try to ignore it. They pretend it's not there, or they reframe it as inspiration. But if envy was only painful, you would naturally avoid it. You wouldn't revisit it. You wouldn't keep comparing. You wouldn't keep checking. Yet, you do it every day, which means something else is happening beneath the surface. Envy has a hidden function. It protects your ego. When you see someone ahead of you, it creates a gap between where you are and where you think you should be. That gap is uncomfortable, so your brain closes it, not by pushing you forward, but by pulling them down in your mind. You minimize their effort, you question their success, you focus on their flaws, and in that moment you feel relief, not because you improved, but because you no longer feel so far ahead. This is the part most people never admit. Envy gives you a shortcut. Instead of doing the hard work required to grow, you adjust your perception, you reduce the standard, you rewrite the comparison, and just like that, you feel better without changing anything. That relief is the reward. That is the hidden pleasure. Now imagine this happening repeatedly. Every time you feel behind, your brain has two options: grow or protect your ego. Growth is slow, uncomfortable, uncertain. Ego protection is instant, effortless, available anytime. So over time, your brain starts choosing the easier path, not consciously but automatically. You don't notice it happening, but your standards start shifting. Your drive weakens, your urgency fades, and slowly, you stop chasing what once mattered to you. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Some people don't feel because they lack ability. They feel because envy keeps giving them emotional relief without progress. It becomes a coping mechanism, a way to deal with feeling behind without actually moving forward. And the more you rely on it, the less pressure you feel to change. Because in your mind, you are no longer that far behind. The shift begins when you stop using envy as protection and start using it as exposure. Start asking relevant questions. What does this reveal about me? What am I avoiding? Where am I falling short? What am I not doing? That question removes the comfort, but it restores clarity. Because envy, when faced honestly, points directly at the gap you've been avoiding. Envy is not your enemy, it's a signal. But most people misuse it. They use it to feel better instead of using it to get better. And that choice changes everything. Because one path leads to temporary relief, the other leads to real progress. You don't just feel envy, you benefit from it. That's why it stays, that's why it repeats, that's why it's so hard to escape. Because it gives you something valuable without requiring anything in return. But once you see the trade, you can't unsee it. You are either using envy to protect your ego or to expose your potential. And the direction you choose decide who you become.